Okay, I need to bring this over to the other side. So I'm going to have 2x squared minus x equals 3. Now with completing the square, this number has to be a 1 for it to work. So that means I need to divide everything by 2. Okay, so I'm going to have x squared minus 1/2 x equals 3/2. But from here, we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to make my x, my squared. Now I need to take half of negative half. So that's divided by 2. Now that's the same thing as 2 over 1, which is the same as negative 1/2 times 1/2, which is negative 1/4. So I'm going to have minus 1/4 here. Now I need to square this number. Okay, so I'm going to take negative 1/4 and square it, which happens to be 1/16, and that's the number that goes here. But remember, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. Now I need a common denominator. So let's see, I'll just stick that right here. So my common denominator would be 16. So I need to multiply the top by 8 and the bottom by 8. So I'm going to have 24 over 16 plus 1 over 16, which is 25/16. I know this seems like a lot, but hopefully you're getting the hang of it. 25 over 16. And remember, I'm doing this by hand, but you can always use your calculator. My next step, take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to have x minus 1/4 equals plus or minus. The square root of 25 is 5. The square root of 16 is 4. And now I'm just going to break them up. X minus, or I'm going to add 1/4 to both sides. Sorry about that. Then I'm going to break them up. So x equals 1/4 plus 5/4, and x equals 1/4 minus 5/4. So this is going to give me 6/4, which reduces to 3/2. So that's one of my answers. 1 minus 5 is negative 4 over 4, which is negative 1. Let's do this one. Now remember, this has to be a 1. Since I already have the 7 on the other side, I'm going to divide each part by 4. Okay, so I'm going to have x squared plus 3x, leave a big space, equals 7/4. Now I'm going to write my squared part. Now half of 3, remember I'm saying 3 divided by 2 is just 3/2. It doesn't reduce. Now I'm going to take 3/2 and square it, okay? 3/2 squared, that means 3/2 times 3/2, which is 9/4. So it's going to equal 9/4. But whatever I do to this side, I have to do to this side. So that's going to give me 16/4. And now I'm just going to take the square root of both sides. Oops, sorry about that. So I'm going to have x plus 3/2 equals, I'll write this out again. So that will be the square root of 16 over the square root of 4, which is 4 over 2 plus or minus 4/2. Okay, so I can reduce this, but I'm going to show you why I'm not going to reduce it. I have to subtract 3/2 from both sides of the equation. So x is going to equal negative 3/2 plus or minus 4/2. Now, if I had reduced this, I would have had to change it back to have my common denominator. Okay, so let's see my two answers. X equals negative 3/2 plus 4/2, and x equals negative 3/2 minus 4/2. Okay, so negative 3 plus 4 is 1/2. So that's one of my answers. Negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7/2. And that doesn't reduce. So that's also my answer.